Hey you, it's me, Erin Laporto here with Daily Elevations, and we are starting a new week in our homes, in whatever situations are going here, and I thought that we would spend this week talking about relationships because whether you are alone or, abundant with spouses, kids, friends, roommates, whoever might be coming with you, I feel like relationships are one of the most important things that really build the quality of our experience in life and that sense of connection. So as we start talking about relationships, obviously the most important relationship that we have is the one that we have with ourselves. I believe that the relationship that we have with ourselves is the most intimate relationship we will ever have with any other being on this planet. And if we actually pay attention to how we treat ourselves and learn to have the best relationship with ourselves, that will translate into better relationships with the people around us, and that will translate to better relationships with our planet itself. You see, to be in good relation is to really honor different needs in another individual. And when we don't honor our body's needs or we don't honor our feelings, then what happens is we start to not honor the needs of people around us. We don't know how to do it. We just want to direct, we want to give orders, we want things to work out our way, and we want to be done with it, right? We all have this part. It's like actually nothing to be ashamed of, but it is something to be aware of. Because once we become aware of how we're treating ourselves, then we have a choice. And I always say that the more awareness you have, the more choice you have, the more choice you have, the more freedom you have. And we all sit here wanting to be free, wanting to be happy, and it all comes down to what are we aware of so that we can be in response to our world rather than in reaction to it. So let's talk a little more about this reflective relationship between the relationship with ourselves and the relationship with somebody else. So I have a question for you. Have you ever had the experience of having a big idea and you're so excited and you go and you tell somebody who you know loves you very much, and they're kind of just like, yeah, but that won't work. And like the wind goes out of your sails and you're like a little puddle all of a sudden. You were wild and free before and inspired, and now you're like flat on your back. And it's like, well, they must be right because they love me. But that's a false understanding. What is a true understanding is that whatever kind of subject matter you asked them about, whether it was career, whether it was love, whether it was health, you got the answer that they would give themselves should they have had that big idea. You got a little piece of their self-talk. Does that make sense? We can't tell somebody, yeah, go ahead, build yourself $1 million company. I believe in you, when we can't give that to ourselves. We can't say, oh my gosh, yeah, you're going to run a marathon? That's incredible. Go do it, when we don't believe that that's possible within ourselves. And we can't tell somebody or be genuinely happy for somebody who's in love and picture that working out when we don't know that level of love ourselves. And it's like a funny thing. So we can have other aspects where we can really show up for people. We have all these different things. We have, our spiritual awareness. We have our, education, our intellect. There's that guy that you always call who knows the answers to things if you have a question. We all have our strengths. But love itself does not make us the best person to ask on all subjects. And this is important because it has to do with the reflection, because there's some place in you that you're wanting to grow into, any of those categories, but you might be holding yourself back. You might be telling yourself negative things, or you might just want peace on something that you appear to be really successful for, but you have this driving drill sergeant within you that never gives you peace, that never lets you have a moment's rest. So the first thing before we go ahead, start, bringing awareness to, hey, you must have a problem with, like, are there dreams that you aren't chasing? Because the way that you're responding to me, no, we're not going to take care of other people's stuff. We're going to take care of our own stuff first and start paying close attention to how we treat ourselves. Can we tolerate well when somebody's really happy? If we can't, where are we not allowing ourselves to be happy? Can we tolerate when somebody's really sad? And if we can't tolerate that, what sadness are we not letting ourselves experience? And what is phenomenal, it is the dance of all relationships, that what we cannot tolerate within ourselves, we cannot tolerate when it shows up in other people. And this is not their fault, and this is not our fault. It's the way that our brains and body were built to protect us when we were children and could not make the space or make the decisions that we needed to make to keep us safe and free as children. So we've carried these patterns around, and whatever wasn't tolerated in our own house, chances are you're not tolerating them here either. Or you might be doing a flip side where you're over expressing the thing that wasn't tolerated, but undervaluing the opposite. So the biggest thing that we can start doing is, rather than trying to get the people around us and the relationships around us to meet our own code, our own little rules and regulations inside of what is allowed and what isn't allowed, is to just begin by noticing what makes us uncomfortable. What makes us want to react? What makes us want to say, you know what, let me tell you how things are, or what you should do, or start that extreme advice giving or order giving, because that takes us away from the opportunity to connect with a part of ourselves that we lost. So as you are either by yourself, noticing what feelings come up by yourself, and giving yourself permission to be with them, to express them, to explore them a little bit, to journal about them, to move them in your bodies and whatever, or to just in the moment that you're witnessing your kid or your partner just here and you're like, I can't take this anymore. Notice what it is that you can't take and see if you can build that relationship with that part of yourself that you're wanting to shut down from so much. Because it's really, there's nothing out there that's not also going on in here. The same event can happen, and there are millions of different reactions to that event. And the reactions to the event have to do with what's stored in here, not the event out here. So as you begin this work with understanding your relationship to yourself a little more, pay attention to your thoughts. Pay attention to where you have strong attraction or strong aversion. And make space for both of those. Make space to let go of the strong attachment, and make space to invite in those strong inversive places. And let that be your spiritual work while you're stuck here in your house with these amazing people who I assume that on some level you love dearly, even though you might not be feeling it in each and every moment right now. And just doing that and just giving yourself that space to let go of the resistance, because it's not just resistance to them or what they're doing or what's happening. It's resistance to parts of you that are desiring to be claimed. So get in there, get into your heart, get into your stories, get in to freeing up a little more space for you to become aware, for you to become aware of choices, and for you to find a little more freedom, even as you're closed in and locked down. The more you can make space in here, the more spacious your whole home will end up feeling. Hope that's helpful, something to chew on. Let me know what questions you have, and I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. By the way, if you want to get my videos every day, press the little subscribe button, because I'd love to have you on the list.